Imagine a river. Now, imagine that river is made not of water, but of solid ice. And this river is so big and heavy that it can move mountains. It does not flow quickly like the water in your sink. Instead, it creeps along inch by inch over thousands of years. This is not something from a fantasy movie. This is a glacier. It is one of nature's most powerful and most peculiar creations. Glaciers are enormous masses of ice that move ever so slowly across the land. They are like giant, frozen bulldozers, carving and shaping the very ground beneath our feet. And they have been doing this for a very, very long time. You might think of ice as brittle, easy to crack in a tray. But with a truly staggering amount of it, ice behaves differently. A glacier is so immense that weight makes the ice at the bottom almost plastic-like, allowing it to flow. These are not static blocks of frost. They are alive with motion and force. Glaciers do not just appear out of thin air like frost on a cold morning. Their creation is a long and painstaking process. It begins with a single tiny snowflake, then another, and another. Snow falls, and crucially, some winter snow survives the summer. For a glacier to be born, you need a consistently cold place, at very high altitudes, on tall mountains, or in polar regions near the North and South Poles. Layers pile on layers. The bottom snow is squeezed under weight. Fluffy crystals lose air and begin to change. They become granular ice called firn, the glacier's teenage phase. Over years to decades, pressure melts grain edges. They refreeze and fuse. Eventually, firn becomes a dense mass of interlocking crystals, glacial ice. Unlike freezer ice, glacial ice is denser and often a beautiful blue. Compressed ice absorbs other colors, but scatters blue light back to us. A glacier is born when its mass is so heavy, gravity pulls it downhill. A story of time and pressure. Most glacial ice lies in Antarctica and Greenland, with mountain glaciers from the Himalayas and Andes to the Rockies and Alps, each a slow-motion river born of countless winters. It may seem like glaciers matter only for skiing, but they are vital to life on Earth. Think of them as the world's biggest, most reliable water towers. They store about 75% of the planet's fresh water. Snow that fell centuries ago is kept in a planetary deep freeze. Glaciers regulate water supplies for millions. They grow in winter and melt steadily in summer, releasing water precisely when other sources run low. A natural timed release tap for drinking, for agriculture, and for hydroelectric power. Great rivers like the Ganges and Indus rely on Himalayan glaciers. Glaciers also cool the planet via the albedo effect. Bright ice reflects sunlight. Greenland and Antarctica act like enormous mirrors that help regulate global temperature. They are scenic wonders, our largest freshwater reserve, and a critical climate component. They store water when abundant and release it when most needed, while cooling the Earth. Losing glaciers is not just losing a view. It undermines water security, energy, agriculture, and climate stability. One of the most mind-boggling things about glaciers is they move. They are rivers of ice in super slow motion. How can brittle ice flow? The secret is immense pressure in thick ice, hundreds to thousands of feet deep. Deep ice deforms, becoming plastic-like and oozing downhill under gravity. Glaciers move by internal deformation and by basal slip. Surface melt and pressure create water that trickles to the bed. This water lubricates the base, reducing friction so the whole glacier can slide. Some glaciers largely surf on a thin meltwater film. Most move inches to feet per day, imperceptible to the casual observer. But surging glaciers can lurch forward hundreds of feet in a day when basal water builds up. Glaciers also transport debris, plucking boulders and scouring the ground, carving striations as they go. From fine rock flour to car-sized boulders, debris rides frozen into the base and sides. These grinding, rock-filled behemoths remodel the land on a geological timescale. Erosion by ice is slow yet mighty, and relentless. Moving ice acts like colossal sandpaper, powered by gravity. Rocks frozen into the ice grind and polish the bedrock. Abrasion leaves long grooves, striations, that record the ice's path. Water seeps into cracks, freezes, expands, and breaks rock, frost wedging. Then glaciers pluck loosened blocks and transport them downslope. Glaciers sculpt horns like the Matterhorn, scoop cirques, and carve knife-edge arates. They transform narrow V-shaped valleys into wide, flat-bottomed U-shaped valleys. Some valleys were carved below sea level. When ice retreated, the ocean flooded them, creating fjords. Ice excavates basins that fill with water, tarns, kettles, even the Great Lakes. If you have swum in a northern lake, a glacier likely made your swimming hole. As glaciers melt and retreat, they drop their rocky loads in piles called moraines. A terminal moraine marks a glacier's maximum reach. Moraines can dam valleys, creating long, narrow lakes, like New York's Finger Lakes. The glacier's legacy is written in water as much as stone. The connection between glaciers and human civilization is immediate. For high mountain communities, glaciers are a daily lifeline, water for drinking and irrigation. In dry seasons, glacial meltwater can be the difference between harvest and famine. Whole economies depend on this frozen water. Shrinking ice reduces reflection, exposing darker surfaces that absorb heat, a warming feedback loop. Glaciers are time capsules. Layers reveal past climate, CO2 levels, and volcanic ash records. When land ice melts, it flows to the sea, raising sea level, like adding water to a bathtub. Rising seas mean more floods, coastline erosion, and salt contaminating fresh water. The fate of coastal cities is tied to glaciers in Greenland and Antarctica. For most of human history, glaciers were relatively stable. Now, they are melting at an unprecedented, accelerating rate. From the Alps to the Andes to Kilimanjaro and the Himalayas, ice is vanishing. Glacier National Park had 150 glaciers in the 1800s. Fewer than 25 remain, perhaps none in decades. Rapid melting creates new dangers for those living nearby. Lakes that form at glacier edges can be unstable. If a moraine or ice dam fails, a glacial lake outburst flood, GLOF, can roar downstream. Such floods can devastate villages and infrastructure within minutes. As glaciers disappear, water security drops and landscapes become unstable and hazardous. The contrast is stark and global. The story of glaciers has become a story about us. Their rapid decline is clear evidence we are changing the planet. Our future is tied to these rivers of ice, freshwater, ecosystems, and climate stability. Losing them disrupts climate and raises seas, threatening coasts worldwide. Glaciers are sending a message in meltwater, and we need to listen. The problem feels immense, but we can act. Small actions add up. Collective choices matter. Warming driven by greenhouse gases is melting glaciers. Cutting emissions is essential. Shift energy from fossil fuels to renewables like solar, wind, and geothermal. We already have the technology. It is a matter of choosing to use it. Use less energy, efficient lighting and appliances. Change how we move, walk, bike, and use transit when possible. Reduce, recycle, and buy thoughtfully to lower your footprint. Support businesses and leaders committed to climate action. Glaciers shaped our mountains and lakes. They are part of Earth's life support system. Protecting them protects water supplies, stabilizes climate, and safeguards future generations. Their message is urgent and clear. Our choices now will echo for centuries. Their survival, and much of ours, depends on what we do next. Across centuries and millennia, glaciers have been the planet's master sculptors. They carved valleys, polished mountains, and left lakes and fjords in their wake. What looks still is, in truth, always moving. From mountaintop to market, their meltwater sustains life. Their bright surfaces reflect sunlight, helping keep Earth in balance. Today, these giants are in trouble, so we are too. But we are not powerless. Our choices add up. Protecting glaciers protects water, climate, and the future we share. Glaciers are slow, silent storytellers. Listen and let their story guide ours. The time to act is now.